Hi everyone. Okay. Once you start joining, just say hi. Hi. Okay, some of our friends have started joining. Hi Sanya. Hi Isha. Yes, so it's so good to have an interaction where we are able to at least say hi to each other and learn something from each other. I welcome you all on behalf of Mrs. Diva, and this is a great platform Astha has created. Astha Jain I personally feel she is a wonderful coach, and she has helped people around like anything. This is from my heart that I'm talking about. Like, she is highly supportive in nature. The coaching abilities are none to other. Like, it's fantastic. She understands everybody's needs, everybody's exact requirement, and the best part is like she's very open-hearted and helps everyone in and out. So I'm pretty happy to be associated with Mrs. Diva, and really great to be knowing Astha. Okay, so I would just start. Thank you. Okay, right. Fine. So today's session we are going to focus on, how many of us are really concerned about how our child learns? Every individual, I personally believe, we are highly concerned, like, how is my child doing? Why is not able to learn? How come other's child is able to do so well? He's able to write everything in the school, you know. So it's a matter of concern for each and every one of us who's having a kid, whether he's in class 1. Hi Kiran, hi Savi. So it's like the kids are here with us, and we cannot just let them go just like that. And moreover, it's like I would say a big thing for us to make them learn, and we're all the time my child should be able to do best, my child should be able to do like this, my child should be able to do it. I mean, it's so obvious, it's very obvious that we would be having such kind of dreams for our child. Sometimes we even get too angry with the kids, that, oh, such a small thing and you're not able to understand, such a small concept that you're not able to understand, I'm explaining it to you, still you're not able to understand. And the child starts getting into the shell, and once that thing happens, no more learning takes place. We got to remember this. Now let's talk about the learning styles. Why I chose this topic was, I have been getting, I have an institute and I've been interacting with a lot of parents so far. They all are like highly concerned. Hi Sonia, hi Namrata, welcome. Sabita, hi. Okay, hi everyone who serviced there. I'm so sorry I missed so many of you. Okay, so primarily I have been interacting for last 3 months a lot with parents, and they have been asking me continuously, I don't understand why we have to sit with the child, simple small things he's not able to understand. On the other contrary, some people are also asking, like, or are very amazed to see the kids are doing so well in the online classes, others are not. So ultimately the question comes, how come? Why not this? Okay, Savita, that's so cool. Right, sure. So see, the idea is, go back to your childhood now. That is the most important thing. When we go to our own childhood, we'll try and understand, we'll get to understand exactly what, where, what is happening. So when I was a child, or when you were a child, just think about it, when you were in a class. So in a science class, you would behave differently. In English class, you would behave differently. In your maths class, you would behave absolutely differently. In one class, hi Vinisha, good to see you, hi Namrata. So in one class, you are more into the subject. On the contrary, in the other class, you are not. When your grades change, the things start changing. Now why exactly am I saying like that? Hi Bapta. Every teacher's teaching style is different, and every individual's learning style is different. Sometimes you'll see people really talking about or trying to figure out, my child doesn't listen in the class. He looks outside the class. The teacher keeps on complaining, oh, he's all the time looking here and there and is not focusing in the class. On the contrary, some kids would be focused when the teacher is talking. So is it a problem with our child? No, it is not a problem with our child. Take it. We need to understand one simple fact: every individual learns absolutely differently. A child would learn by listening. A child would learn by seeing things. A child would in fact learn by doing certain things. There would be certain kids who would just like to read, they'll come to you and you want to read out something to them. You want to explain them something and they'll be like, no, leave it to us. I'll take the book, and he'll read it quickly and understand. Right? Whereas, hi sir. Yeah, me too here. Okay, yes. So when we talk about children or ourselves, just observe. There'll be kids, or you would be very good at observation and you would immediately say, oh yeah, this has to be done like this. You'll see somebody cooking a particular dish, and just by looking at that thing, by just looking at how that preparation is going on, you are actually learning to do it. So let me just, first of all, let's understand what exactly we mean by learning. Learning is a way, it's basically that we absorb certain set of information for our future use. Something that we remember, retain, recall at the time of use. Okay. Now, let's discuss about the learning styles as I was just talking about. When I say seeing is a visual learner, means you'll just see, you'll observe, and that's it, and you'll be learning everything around. Whereas on the other contrary, if you have been taught, if you have been said, okay, now this is like this is like this has to be cooked like this, you will get like, okay, no, forget it. That's not my cup of tea. I cannot, or I would not. So ultimately, what is the thing? That you're not an auditory. Auditory means the one who listens. Certain kids, they sit in the class with full focus and they remember everything that the teacher has said. It does happen. And then we are asking the question, Rahul, you don't remember anything, whereas Sanya remembers everything that was told in the class. Yes, because she's an auditory learner. He isn't an auditory learner. That means he would not listen, but he would see probably, or he would like to do it and then only go ahead. So that's the person who learns through observation. We call them as a visual learner. On the contrary, on the other hand, the person who listens, is the one who learns by listening. He doesn't need any kind of other support at that point of time to learn anything. Now, what do we see, when I'm talking about an auditory learner? We normally see the kids are, they listen to, okay, let's do a small activity here. How many of our kids actually are into, I would say, they listen to the music, or they listen to the dialogues of a movie and they remember it word to word with the accent. I'm talking about with the accent they do it. That's nothing else but their auditory learner. That's a glimpse that we can identify that they are auditory learner. They would listen and then you're zapped. You're like, you can remember the songs like this. You can remember the stories like this. You can remember each and every dialogue like this. But you aren't. You aren't remembering what is there in your school textbook. Yes, because that's not auditory for him. He is not listening to it. He is just reading it. That's not interesting him. That's not getting here. That's just going here and bouncing back. Okay, so the third type of, like, there are different theories behind it. Certain, like, we say, write it, read it, write it, you'll remember it, you'll recall it. At the time, you'll recall it, you'll learn it. No. If he's not a read and write person, he would not recall it. He can very well just listen to some of the audios and he would answer you everything that you want to know from him about a particular subject. So he's a read and write kind of a person. Finally, we come to last category, which is doing. He would probably like to draw something, associate certain things, certain activities with the learning or with the topic, and that's where we are talking about that he would be learning through his actions. So that's the kinesthetics. When I say read and write, it's just not that every child would be doing read and write activity. Okay? The kinesthetic person uses all his senses. Do not forget that, he would use, what all senses are there? I personally believe we all know what are the senses. He would use his sight, touch, taste, smell, and hearing. He would make a combination of all these things and then tend to learn. So that's where, when we talk about, I know this is a very intense session, so I won't be able to throw any jokes out here, right? But then this is how our child learns. Most important thing is, now we have to identify which kind of learner is my child, or you can just reflect on yourself, okay? Which kind of learner are you? Are you a visual learner? The visual learner observations are absolutely great. They know the roadmaps thoroughly well. They'll take any turn and they'll remember which turn, left, right, how many kilometers, how many meters ahead, what kind of building around, what kind of ground around, they'll remember everything. That's the visual learner. Okay, to identify that, just check it out with yourself, with your kids, actions, activities. You can just check it out. Yes, he is very much keen or intense in drawing things and expressing it to you. So then he becomes a kinesthetic learner. I'm sorry. For the visual learner, now let's, if anybody has any questions so far, please go ahead. Thank you, Priyanka. Thank you so much. I really hope this session actually helps everybody to understand certain basics about our own kids. And we start working towards that. That's the main idea behind it, right? School is a rote system. I'm not against the schooling, but certain methodologies are not really very much acceptable in this particular area. Any questions anybody has? Otherwise, I'll go ahead. All right. There is a saying, very beautiful saying by Benjamin Franklin, and a lot of people in a lot of schools, people believe in that, and that says, tell me, I'll forget. Teach me, I'll remember a little. And involve me, I will learn. This is for kinesthetic learners. It doesn't fit for each and everyone. One size doesn't fit all. That is the whole idea behind. Now, I come to the another part of it. If in case you find your child just not one, so they can have a combination of learning skills together. They might be an auditory learner as well as they might be a kinesthetic learner. So it could be a merge of the two to learn a particular thing. Now let's talk about the integration of teaching methodology with the learning styles or learning skills. So fine, I talked about the visual learner the first, so I would talk about like what are the tools, how a visual learner can actually learn better. So it's with the help of diagrams, flow charts, pictures. You can use all these things. Hi Indira, nice to see you. Right, so it's like, the tools for learning, the teaching methodology for the visual learners need to be very much expressive, right? Thank you, Namrata. Okay, it has to be highly expressive in nature. When you draw something, when you express something by drawing it, by making some diagrams, flow charts, pictures, all these things when put together, they tend to learn faster. So when you're teaching a child or helping him learn something, try to make some kind of a flow chart, which is a pictorial representation of the concept. And I tell you one thing, if you really try hard initially, right now, you can develop diagrams, flowchart for any subject. I'm talking about any subject, with grammar of English to French to Hindi to SST to science to maths. Everything can be represented in the form of a diagram, flowchart, or a mind map. You all would have seen, recently the schools have introduced mind map. Why that? Because mind map is again talking about the visual learners. So that's how you can help the visual learner to do. Because take it from me, school lectures, college lectures are not going to help him the way these kind of things can actually help him. Try different special arrangements. Like, you can have different special means the space wise. Okay. You can arrange, like you can draw a picture with 4 houses at one place, draw a river, the trees on the other side or the farms on the other side. You are distinguishing the two. One is where your habitat is there, another place is where you're growing something and there's a river passing by. So all these things, he will be able to observe better. Okay, so yes, one more important tip for that. When a child is a visual learner, it is very important to use colors as well. Use lot of colors while, like the coding colors should be there. Like, if there is a definition, like, remember when we were in school, we were told to underline certain things. This is for the visual learners, because that attracts his attention immediately. Then use blue, pink, such kind of colors for important terminologies for him to remember, because he'll associate that color with that. Try to restrict to 4 or 5 colors only. A lot of colors means just 4 or 5 colors, because if too many colors would be there, the child will get confused. So use coding for the color, like blue color for this particular concept or this kind of a thing, pink for this, orange for this, something like that, so that he's very clear what is he reading and he can associate it. So at the time when he has to recall anything, he is clubbing the two things, the color and the concept, and he's able to bring it back. Okay, I hope I'm not going very fast. Alright, so let's talk about the auditory learners. What are the tools that an auditory learner, as I mentioned, he'll not listen. Or he'll not see, but he'll listen. He's very keen on listening to something. So the way he'll be learning would be read aloud. What happens when they read aloud? They are reading it. See, now there's a combination that they're doing. Reading it, speaking, and hearing. So on and on. When these three in conjunction works, they tend to learn faster and remember it for a longer period of time. Another important thing, you can prepare an audio, or if you have an audio, just make him listen to the audio. Don't focus he's looking here or there. Just ensure that he's listening to that. If he's an auditory learner, it is very important that this child needs to I would say when we talk about the auditory learners, they're very sensitive towards the tone of the speaker. So when you're also teaching, please ensure that your tone needs to be meeting with the desire of the child. This is very important even for the tutors who are around. Okay, and the tutors normally, I get to listen to from a lot of parents. I don't know, my child is not ready to study from that teacher. She's not ready, or he's not ready to listen to anybody. He doesn't listen. He doesn't want to. He just refuses, or she just refuses to. That's because maybe he's auditory learner, and he's not, or she's not able to accept the tone. I'm talking the tonality. When you speak to a child, you have to be very cautious. So you need to be really careful about when you talk to your child, to somebody else's child, or if you're giving tuitions or giving any kind of lectures, if you're in school teacher, anywhere, if you're dealing with kids, or I would say anybody, be careful about the tonality. Okay. Try to record the notes as much as possible. Okay, as much as possible. I'm not saying everything is possible, but yes, important things, try to record them, let them listen to it. Okay, now let's talk about the read and write people. I hope you're noting down these things, because these are very critical and important. Okay, now when we talk about the tools to be used by read and write people, it is very important that the glossary, you understand what is a glossary. Glossary is a set of important words in a particular chapter, in a lesson, may it be English, Hindi, science, SST, anything. When they grow up, chemistry, physics, you can bifurcate it on your own then later on. Okay, so glossary is very important. Rereading of the notes is important. Rewriting is important. So for the read and write people, these are the 3 tips that they can actually work on, and they can do fantastic, and their learning abilities can enhance like anything. One thing, work on the glossaries, important words. Another word is rewriting and rereading the notes. Another one is try to write in your own words. Very important. The moment you try to write in your own words, the things will start clicking into your head, and it will all register here. Okay. The tools for the kinesthetic learners. Now, the kinesthetic learners are actually the doers. They learn by doing. As I mentioned, they work with the 5 senses. Right. So, kinesthetic learners, it is very important to associate with the examples. Anything. Like, if you want them to learn, say, who was, when did the Panipat battle actually took place? So you don't need to tell them, okay, this is what, sometimes children work hard but are unable to achieve the desired score. So how can we motivate them in that situation? I'll come back to that, Namrata. Okay, so let me finish with the kinesthetic learner. I would say, if a person is kinesthetic learner, ask him to make his own notes, associate it. So I was talking about the Panipat battle. Don't try to make them mug up. Try to put it in the action. It is better for them to watch a movie or a documentary on a similar kind of a thing. And if you don't have that similar kind of a thing, a documentary available, you can create your own by visualization. Now that's one technique which is very, very important for any of the child, which will make him associate the things. And for the kinesthetic learners, association is the most important thing, because that's the best thing that they can do in this particular situation. Include more and more of examples in the notes, more and more of examples which would associate with them. Okay. Most importantly for the kinesthetic learners is to solve papers. Lot of papers they should solve, right? Papers in the sense last year papers, last to last year papers, etc. That will give them a practice, because what did I say? He is a kinesthetic learner. Okay, right. Okay, yes. So Namrata just asked me a question which is to do with the child works hard, is not able to get the desired results. So how can we motivate them in that particular situation? Yes, it's highly demotivating. Think about ourselves only, we go in the kitchen and we want to make a nice dish, and that day the dish doesn't come out to be well, right? So we definitely feel demotivated and we're like, oh, no, I don't want to make this dish again, it's gone bad, I cannot make it. Yes, the same thing happens with the child. So first thing is accepting it. Very first and the important thing is to accept the situation. Number 2, you can deal with the child in a manner where you can motivate him. Now, how to deal with the child in that particular situation is, just don't say ki, okay, ho gaya, koi baat nahi, we'll work hard next time. So he'll immediately come up, I worked hard, very, very, very hard this time. It doesn't work and it is not going to work for me. It's going to further bring him down. Sit down with him. Try to understand. Not you, the child needs to understand, but then you're not pushing him, you're not doing any kind of a force on him where he is feeling ki, oh, mama is trying to find out the reasons and where have I gone wrong. No, he has to understand which are the areas which needs to be worked more, where and what more efforts or less efforts have to be done. There are different categories. Maybe he's worked hard not in the right direction, right? Not in a direction which was highly required, not in a direction where he needs to focus on, he's not focused on it. So it's not that he has a problem. First of all, remember this thing. This is not at all that it is his problem. The problem is the methodology. Absolutely the methodology. So just help him understand a small bit of thing with the help of an example that try to change, like there's a saying, if you keep on doing the same thing, you tend to get the same results. So the child also needs to understand the same thing. If he's going to put on effort, digging at the same place where there's no water, you'll not get any water. So it's as simple as that. Number 2, maybe the skill sets need to be honed. So you just have to sit. Most important thing is hug him. The very first thing. Okay, hug him. Express that yes, you have worked hard. Maybe let's change our style. Now the words are going to play a lot of role. Motivation means words. Let's change our style. Let's look into this particular thing in this particular fashion. That you have to decide which subject, where exactly is he feeling demotivated. We can discuss this individually also. You can just send me a message. We'll exchange it and we can have a word. But for now, we need to understand only one thing, that to express that you are not, unhappy. You are pretty good. You're feeling good that he has worked hard. That motivates the child, number 1, at the initial stage. Okay. And number 2, when I talk about, is a tight hug and a gratitude that he has worked hard. That will give him a lot of boost in himself, right? Number 3, let's find out a method to overcome this problem. That is very, very critical. It's not today. Is for the lifetime that you're preparing him, and that is very important. So let us totally not focus on the school studies. Not everybody can become a doctor. Not everybody can top, और टॉप करके करेंगे क्या? ये सबसे पहली चीज हमारे दिमाग में होनी चाहिए कि हम क्या कर रहे हैं, हमने क्यों नहीं कर पाए, वो बात की बात है. हम क्या कर रहे हैं अभी, हमारा इंटरेस्ट क्या है. अगर हम अपने इंटरेस्ट के एरिया में, जिधर हम अपना करियर बनाना चाहते हैं, उसमें अगर हम अच्छा कर रहे हैं, तो थोड़ा बहुत इधर उधर दूसरी जगह चलता है. You cannot be doing the best in all the areas. That we need to understand, because it's we who are putting that into their mind. And I don't think so they need more motivation than a mother's hug. That okay, fine, let's figure it out where and how we can do the best. Or you try to identify what changes you need to bring about. Please don't say what problem or what mistakes you have committed. Avoid using any kind of negative words with them. Okay, any more questions anybody has? Yeah. Okay, so I would like one more thing to be brought to the notice here, is that we have talked about different styles of learning of a child, ourselves, different ways we can help the child to, fix into that. Now, how do we go ahead with the school curriculum? That is the biggest question for each one of us. One of the person has already sent me on the private message that I really don't understand. I'll just read it out to you, that I really don't understand. In school, the teaching methodology is different, and if we change the methodology, how far the child will be able to understand it? Okay. It's not the matter that child is understanding or not. It's the matter what is the outcome. So just focus on that. If I have to teach, like, I take memory sessions, and there is one child, I've been interacting with her for quite some time, and I've realized that she is actually a kinesthetic learner. So I do not focus at all on identifying what is her mistake. Oh my God, she doesn't learn, she doesn't do this. No, okay, fine. So we change the method. Now can you please reintroduce yourself? Just stumble on this live talk. Okay, yeah, sure, Jaya. Just give me a sec. Okay. Right. So when I talk about the changes that you bring about is to help the child to learn. Ultimate purpose is that we need to bring about changes to help the child to learn. School curriculum or no curriculum. On day-to-day basis also, if you want the child to learn something, you have to understand how the child learns anything and then incorporate it like that. Okay, like what we normally say is, if you want a child to learn something or his behavior has to be changed, change yourself, because he learns what he sees. Exactly. So if he learns what he sees, definitely we need to change those things. So that's where even the school curriculum, if we talk about, it's as simple that if a child has to learn which the five oceans in the world, so there is a simple trick, too much of information, overload of information is not required. If a child is not able to remember it just like that, you give him a mnemonic, you give him a trick. Okay, fine, you remember this. For example, there was a child who used to come to me, and he had a terrible problem in remembering certain formulas. So we started working with him, and then there is this thing, metric system saying King Henry died while drinking chocolate milk. It was very difficult for him initially to remember kilometer comes first or meter comes first or centimeter comes earlier, which is bigger, which is smaller. But the moment this statement was given to him, any point of time verbally he could tell which is bigger, which is smaller, and instantly he could work it out. So we need to actually work on these things, and ultimately when he goes to the school, performs there, the teacher wants what? That he should be understanding things, and he has understood it. He has performed well. That's it. Okay. Yeah. So Asta has already given my intro here. I am basically an academician, and I have been into teaching line for almost, say, now 24 years. Yes, Asta, we used to learn periodic tables like that. Exactly. Okay. So, I'm a management graduate, taught in management college on a regular basis for 14 years, and post that, past 11 years almost, I am having my own institute with the name of Lighthouse Institute. There I teach Vedic maths, communication, yes, many formulas to remember. Okay, yes, so I'm an NLP practitioner, plus I have been doing a lot of research and, coaching parents. I would not say I'm a parental guide or something like that. No, I don't do that. I do help assist parents to understand how they can help their own children, right? And how they can overcome certain situations which is difficult otherwise to come. I'm an NLP practitioner, and therein do a lot of activities. I also am into corporate training, personal trainings, etc. Yes, I hope I have. Where is it? It's in Dwarka, Sector 23. Thank you, Jaya. Okay. Anybody has any more questions or queries? Or if you have missed on, you can always watch this. Asta, I believe this would be there live, and they can watch it anytime. Please do watch it. In case if you have any queries, most welcome. You can always write down on the same post, and I'll definitely answer you back. Right. So thank you, Namrata. Okay. Right. So thank you, Jaya. If anybody has got any typical question that you feel that, okay, yes, this would probably be an answer that you were looking for. Primary area we have covered, right? We need to understand our child's. Yes, please do write it there on the comments. Thank you, Asta. Right. Understand what's your child's learning methods. Okay, there are methods, there are like tests also available. There are psychological tests also available to identify what kind of learning style your child has. There is something called as where the fingerprint analysis, through which we understand. One important thing that you have to keep in mind is the learning style doesn't remain constant. It changes over a period of time. This is one of the very important thing. Jaya, you can, yes, it's there. Lighthouse Institute is there on the page, and the link is also provided here. Otherwise, my number is 9873724914. You can get in touch with me anytime. Just send me a WhatsApp, and then we can decide over the time and discuss. Right. Okay. So something that is very critical for us to understand is, please mix and match the learning styles of your child with your teaching methodology. Okay. Thank you, Namrata. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. And I'm really grateful to Asta. She's doing great work and providing opportunity for each one of us to learn each and every day and grow every day. I am really helpful, I would say, thankful to the God that I landed on this page and joined Mrs. Diva. And I personally feel I have been enlightened a lot by various sessions that have been conducted online. And thank you, Asta. So many times I would say thank you to you. Still, it would be less. And thank you, everyone, for joining today. Hope this session would really help you. Only last thing again I'm saying is incorporate the learning styles with the teaching methodology. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. Bye. Take care.